All right. Let's go ahead and get things started. Over here. Let me just go ahead and do something up on my phone real quick, guys. Let me go ahead and get all this out of here. Send this over where I need to. All right. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. Sorry about that. Let me make sure that this is playing properly. I'm sure it is, but I also be having this so that I can get in with those who are checking it out on the tube. Cool. So volume is solid. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Recording in progress.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for checking out another one of my weekly Forex and crypto analysis. I do appreciate it. The weekly outlook, getting a broader idea of what the markets are going to be looking like, right? So, with that being said, before I go ahead and get started, please drop a like, drop a comment if you're checking this out on YouTube, so that we can be able to get this out to more and more people. The more people that we get, be able to like and subscribe, even leave a comment, if you will. That helps us grow with the algorithm, and that allows people to be able to, view our analysis as well. So now, with that being said, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a fundamental analysis. I love how this screen is looking like to me right now, because that means there's not a lot of high impact news this week, right? Last week there was a whole bunch of high impact news. If we just go back and take a look, January 30th basically to February 5th, a whole bunch of high impact news. So I wasn't necessarily trying to look out for a whole bunch of trades to call out for anybody. I ended up taking some losses, which I'll be talking a little bit about. And so this week, I am so glad to see that on Wednesday there's only 12 p.m. Central Standard Time Canadian dollar news. Governor Macklin will be speaking, and then Thursday, 8:30 a.m. there's U.S. dollar news with that CPI and core CPI. And then 3:15 p.m. Central Standard Time we have GDP news with Governor Bailey speaking, and then Australian dollar with Governor Lowe speaking. So the high impact news is mostly just speeches. CPI is cool and everything, but I would expect some just a not minor, but not as heavy as an FOMC news with the CPI. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop on now to the chart. So let's take a look first at the DXY. Let me go ahead and full screen this. So DXY, right now, weekly candle completely engulfed the previous week's candle. And the previous week's candle, we know that candle is, give me a second. Okay, there you go. The previous candle is what we were seeing with FOMC, and I was saying, hey, with that FOMC candle, I would be wanting to expect price to come back into this zone, go up a little bit more bullish, and then start to make the downside push. But then once I'm seeing this weekly time frame engulf last week's candles like this is making me think, okay, was this just a liquidity grab, to the upside? If we go into the weekly time frame and we go in a little bit closer, we can see that these two candles could have been the liquidity grab on, let me get this back on, give me a second. This could have been the liquidity grab right here, right? Where there's these two equal highs, where traders are going to be looking to trade double tops, and price came in and took out those traders that might have had their stop loss above these equal highs right here on the weekly time frame. And then again, candle right after it just came crashing down back over here into 95.141. Going on over to the daily time frame, we see that again, like on the daily time frame, we see here that there's a morning star pattern. This would have been a lot of traders' first sign saying that, oh, right here, this is a potential opportunity for the DXY to push to the downside, and it did. After that morning star pattern, some traders might have taken the sell right here, boom, took it to the downside. Me, however, I'm like, hey, right now on the daily time frame, as much as yes, price is making higher highs and higher low, I cannot ignore, number one, how this fell. First of all, we have freaking morning, evening star pattern right here, and then three white black crows. The opposite of three white soldiers. That is a bullish candlestick. So when I'm seeing that right there, I'm like, hey, that's one sign that this could be potentially going to the downside. When I'm looking at the weekly time frame, bearish engulfing this, that's another sign on the daily and the weekly time frame. And right now, I do see this move right here. Yes, this bullish move. So right now, what I'm really trying to see on the DXY is if it's going to hold up at this level, right? If it holds at this level right here, then I will be expecting the DXY to make one more trip up over here to at least 96.776 before pushing to the downside. That's kind of what I'm actually looking for overall in the market. If this is, because again, I feel like the weekly time frame just told us, hey, I'm not looking to buy yet. This was a fake out. I was just trying to shake away all the traders that were looking to try to sell right here, or who might have wanted to sell when price got back up there. Now I'm back down, so I want to see this play happen on the DXY, right? So there's that. So with this bearish impulsive move, this is basically what I'm trying to see, right? Because I don't want to just try and say that, oh, it's bullish. Like I said, realistically speaking, on the, like, let's say the 4-hour daily, weekly, price is pushing to the upside and is making higher highs and higher lows, right? But with a deep bearish push like this, I can't ignore that. On the 1 hour time frame, it's for sure broke change structure and is possibly showing that it wants to go bearish, and I think, give me a second, let me see. Yeah, I need to turn this volume down, sorry about that. Alright, but yeah, when talking about this DXY move, I want to see it pushed up over here to 96.786 before I look to consider to sell it. I don't want to just sell it where price is currently at. I don't like selling low and buying high. I want to buy low and sell high. So if I can get price to come up over here, I'll start looking for those swing opportunities. And for those who remember what I talked about last week, it was very similar. I was like, hey, if we're going to be seeing a retracement, well, it's more for Euro USD. Once I go over there, I'll explain that more. Hit that 71% Fibonacci that I've been talking about for the past couple of weeks perfectly. So I'm going to add an alert to this on the DXY. And again, I want to see overall this happen if price is going to continue going bearish. Right now, looking at the opposite of this fib, from this bullish move to the retracement, I do believe that price could still go bullish from right here, but I want to see 96.783 get hit before I start to sell it. That would make me ultimately get into that DXY. That be bearish with the DXY. That's going to help so much. If the DXY is losing value, that's going to help so much with the cryptos gaining value. That's going to help a lot with the indices, I believe. Well, I don't want to say that. No, let me not say it, because I usually like to treat the indices differently than I treat the DXY. So this is what I'm looking at for the DXY. Let me go back to full screen. I forgot to do that. And let me go ahead and go on over to arbitrage. So now on arbitrage, weekly time frame, still very much bullish, but I like that it was rejecting off of that second deviation right here. Glad to see that. On the daily time frame, we're now seeing that price is finally underneath that that RSI line. Got the bearish call. I wouldn't necessarily sell here. I still feel the exact same way about the DXY. I want price to retrace back up before going bearish some more. Currently rejecting off of that lower danger zone, but I do like seeing these bears right here. I do love seeing them. Daily time frame's been a little bit consolidating. Realistically, it has been over here, and then over all of this. Oh, I'm faking out to the downside, faking out to the upside. Yeah, it's just been consolidating a lot. On the 4-hour time frame last week, I wanted price to retrace up over here to this RSI line. It never did. It called for the sell, and then price ended up pushing to the downside. And that's just one of those moves where it's like, oh well, I didn't get what I wanted. It is what it is, right? I wanted that retracement before I was looking to try to get into any trades related to the DXY. So 1-hour time frame, it's setting up for that buy move. I definitely want the retracement to occur. And for those who are trading with arbitrage, this doesn't look like a bad play to me. For the DXY, this doesn't look so bad. I want definitely price to push up to the upside. I do, however, feel like price can still come down a little lower, maybe to like 95.300. Yeah, 95.300 before going bullish. That possibility does exist, but again, like I said, buying right now. Arbitrage users, DXY, this looks pretty solid. So that's for the DXY. Going to be watching for that for sure. Let's go on over to Euro USD. Man, this on its swing level, from what I've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, this is beautiful. This is completely beautiful. Right? Let me go ahead and just draw this out right here. First of all, bullish engulfing candle to the upside. I love seeing that right off of 1.11400. I know that you guys have been hearing me every week for the past what's over here? At least for the past month. At least for the past 4 sessions, you guys have been hearing me talk about 1.11400 as a place where I'm like, hey, this is a potential area where price can come and turn around. This is a perfect swing area. I was saying last week even, I was like, hey, if you are looking for those swing entries, 1.1400 right down here is perfect for you. And why is that? From these lows down here, I'm talking about these lows to these highs, price has made that retracement back into that 71% fib. Hit the 61.8, consolidated a little bit, dropped back down to the 71% for those who are trying to buy from down over here, and then again, price made that bullish engulfing to the upside. This bullish engulfing is much more what's the word I'm looking for? It's much more obvious than obvious is as good as I'm gonna get, but it's much more obvious on here than what it looked like on the DXY. Yeah, we can still see that this is a bearish engulfing candle for sure, but Euro USD, you can tell from a mile away that this is a bearish engulfing candle, right? I do see that price has came back to that level where prices previously rejected off of before pushing to the downside, and so this is another reason why I'm not going to be looking for any type of Euro USD buys at this level, right? So let me go ahead and get rid of this Fibonacci level 1.1400. I'm leaving that on the chart for now. Same thing with this bearish push that happened. Price literally did a 180. Literally did, or not a it literally did a 180 and just turned right back around. So with it turning right back around and making 100% retracement off of this move, I'm not saying that this is not going to fall, because I do want this to fall for a retracement. You know what this is looking like to me? This is just looking like to me that, oh, this is a breakout, retest, continuation after price has spiked out to the downside. That's what it looks like to me on the higher time frame. Now, price did not break this previous lower high, if you will. It just made equal highs right here. No type of lie. But the way how this daily moved, again, let me just go ahead and delete all of this stuff right here. based off of how this morning star, because this is again very much a morning star candle, bearish candle, doji candle right off of a main area, a main zone that I was looking at, and then a bullish engulfing candle right after. There would have been a lot of traders who on this candle open would have gone in for the buy. You know, there are traders who will like that and put their stop loss down here. Their risk to reward, if they would have bought here and the trade is already over here, the risk to reward is more than triple, I'm pretty sure. Well, no, I'll say more than double. But so yeah, this is what I'm really looking out for on Euro USD this week. I want to see it. It's either A, going to reject right here, or B, is going to keep going to the upside. If it rejects right here, I'm waiting for that retracement before I look to get into a swing buy opportunity. You know, unfortunately, I'm personally not probably going to get my 1.1400 entry. And it's okay. Like I said, I was willing to wait to see what that reaction was going to be. You know, if I would have been like, oh, hey, I'm placing a buy limit here, you know, that would have been a solid, no cap, 343 pips last week. That's cool, but you know, I ain't gotta chase it. I ain't gotta worry about it because this is a long-term play, like I've been talking about. So, price coming back to 1.12271 overall is what I'm looking for. You know, I'm not necessarily crazy over the fact that price coming back into this range. You know, at this point, I either A, wanted to come back in here for another buy opportunity for me, or B, just keep going. You know, I don't want either or. I don't want any consolidation up here, although that's probably what's going to happen today. But I do want price to make that retracement before continuing, because again, these lows that were right here, they got taken out. This low that where people, including myself, thought that price was going to stop at, came down low, took those lows out, broke out to the upside, retraced 100% of this fall, and then, yeah, I mean, either A, like I said, is either not even that, you know, it could realistically just hold over here at 1.13317. Realistically, it can just hold there. After breaking through the structure just from this bullish move right here, it can, but let's see what goes down. You know, I'm actually going to keep an alert over here as well at that 1.13317. Going to have an 3317. I'm going to have an alert there to see what will be, you know, what's looking good on the 1 hour time frame, because I bet that's probably going to be a 1 hour setup at this point in time. But yeah, overall, I need a retracement. Either 1.13317 is going to be the play, or 1.12291 for that next breakout to make, or to officially break through this previous lower high on the 4 hour. So that is with Euro USD. Let's go ahead and go over to arbitrage. I'll talk about that 1 hour time frame shortly. So weekly time frame, been very bearish, right? Been bearish since June of 2021. Never got the retracement. It is what it is. So daily time frame, we got the bulls coming in now, right? After we got bulls right here, price went bullish, then called for the exit. We got the bulls back, you know, got the buy. I'm not going to place a buy up here. You guys know how I do. I would rather place a buy down over here than up over here. No questions asked, you know? And so with me seeing these buys over here, of course, I would just need to see the same thing as I was talking about, a retracement before continuation. You know, price doesn't necessarily have to come back down all the way to the upper danger zone on the daily for me, you know? 4 hour time frame, price is currently holding up on that second deviation. You know, again, same thing right here. I never got the retracement. It is what it is. But overall, I want to see what the 1 hour time frame is about to do. You feel me? So 1 hour time frame, breakout, retest, continuation on the 1 hour for arbitrage users. This looks pretty damn good to me. I'm more than likely going to be playing this because, you know, like I said, it's just my type of play that I would like to get into off of arbitrage, right? But again, I would have to wait for breakout, retest, continuation. I'm not going to set an alert, but we'll see how this goes. So that's for Euro USD. I'm going to be watching for that later tonight. Overall, this is the longer term play that I want to see. 1.1400 has been achieved. Now the retracements to the continuation is what I'm going to be watching for on EU. So watching for that as well. AUD USD. Let's take a look at AU. So weekly time frame. Price continues to bounce off of this zone that I've drawn out and said that, hey, this is a zone that we could be potentially watching for AUD USD to reject off of, right? Let me go ahead and get rid of all these drawings here. I am not necessarily a big fan of me seeing the previous weekly candle like this and then a larger wick to the upside than the actual body close. Or let me in fact test that theory out and see if that's facts or not. So the wick is 99.2 pips, basically 100 pips, right? And then the body of the candle is 82 pips. So yes, the wick is longer than the body of the candle. Kind of looks like it, but just for confirmation's sake, you can just go and take a look at it yourself, right? So again, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of seeing this wick to the upside with the Australian dollar in the weekly time frame, right? Not necessarily a sign telling me that, oh, this is going to go bullish, right? Going on over to the daily time frame, we do see that, yes, we do have that bearish reaction right here. You know, this kind of arguably looks like a morning star pattern where we have bearish candle. This is not a doji, but I like the rejection off of here. Took out that equal low, realistically speaking, and then gave a bullish engulfing candle. Not the greatest looking, you know, morning star in my opinion, but hey, it can work, right? Now, again, I'm not crazy over the sells because what this can honestly realistically be is just from the high of 0.72770 to the low of 0.69673, that rejection off of the 61.8, which this to me looks more like a evening star than this morning star personally. But yeah, AUD USD is not that great looking for me personally speaking. I mean, even if you drew the fib all the way up here, you can still see that the possible buys are still there. But again, overall, I'm not too crazy over how this looks. I do like, though, seeing this bullish engulfing there. But then right after, like on Friday, I see a bearish engulfing after seeing some type of doji candle that the wick is higher to the upside than to the downside. Not that great a feeling for me to try and sell it, right? And even looking at the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour, I would have been saying I'm looking for sells here because all I'm seeing is price making lower highs and lower lows, even from up over here. You know, from this bearish move that happened, the retracement painting, like this would have been super sauce. I don't know why we didn't see it last week, but you know, or not even that we would have seen it last week, but price came over to the 78.6, acted like a couple of times that it wanted to go above, never did, and the price dropped. You know, like if I was trading this, I would have been at break even in my stock, and I would have taken some partial profits. So with AUD USD, I'm not necessarily there yet for me to buy it. I would have to see what the rest of the week looks like. I'd rather look for Euro USD buys than AUD USD buys at this time. You know, I don't necessarily care for this opportunity right here. I'll draw it out to see what it looks like for sure. Like over here at 0.70263, I'll for sure draw it out. But I'm not going to invest as much time, energy, or, you know, psychological energy into this AUD USD trade. Like, you know how over here I have DXY Euro USD blue? Yeah, I'm not putting AUD USD blue. I'm just going to have the alert there, but it's not something that I'm going to be eagerly looking out for. Because all I know is that price can just make a double bottom and then potentially go bullish. Maybe even come to 0.69232, then go bullish. Or go bearish overall. You know, again, on the weekly time frame, it's not the greatest look for a sell. I mean, for a buy. Yeah, it's holding at the zone, but that's not going to be the only reason why I'm looking for buy opportunity. So, AUD USD, I'm going to be extremely patient with it. Let me go over to arbitrage to see what this is looking like. Weekly time frame still holding up right here. Rejected off of the lower danger zone and then pushed to the downside. So weekly time frame very much bearish. Daily time frame still very much bearish. Like you guys see, like there's not that many confluences that are saying that this is going to be bullish. You know, AUD USD 4-hour time frame, I was saying, hey, I want the breakout retest continuation. Technically speaking, that is what price is doing right now, but it's currently under that RSI line. There's no confirmation saying that it's gonna buy, and price has already came to the mean line. Usually when I see price come to this mean line right here, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get in the trade anymore, because more times than not, if it bounces off of that, then it's gonna continue going bearish. And then the 1-hour time frame, same thing. It's like, I'm not feeling this. It just looks like to me that price is going to keep going lower. Like, although, yes, it called for a sell here, this isn't my kind of play that I would try to play off of arbitrage, you know. Even if it came back up to this RSI line, I wouldn't be down to try to sell it off of this time frame. So, I'm just going to be extremely, like I said, extremely, you know, patient with AUD USD, and we'll see what it looks like later on tonight, later today, or later tomorrow morning. We'll see what goes on with AUD USD. Go ahead, Sano. Hey,
question.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So if it is that you go back to the 101, the AU USD, right? And hold on. Right. Okay. Let's just say that you were to place a fib at the actual bottom of that bullish candle there, right?
Which candle are you referring to? Are you referring to this right here?
No. So if you look at the recent price action, yes, and the last and this major bearish candle there, that's the right. So if it is that you were to place a fib at the bottom of that that candle there, or even at the top, let's say at the top, right? At the top there, right? That rejection is that close to your 71% there. So if you put it there, right there.
Yeah, this could definitely continue to fall on a lower time frame. This is definitely a play that, you know, I would have looked at. I would have been like, on the 5-minute time frame, I'm like, oh, right, that's a bearish impulsive move to the downside, and then it's like, oh, there's a retracement. You know, this could be a possible play for me. Now, again, it would be a possible play, but it would only be on a lower time frame that I'd play that. But continue. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So that could be relatively consistent with the DXY going bullish for a little while, and then rejecting off of that supply zone, and then actually going bearish, right?
That can definitely be a sign. But for me personally, when it comes to Australian AUD USD, I like to look more of an influence towards the Australian dollar versus the influence of the US dollar. You know, I do of course pay attention to the US dollar, but you know, there are times where AUD USD will be bullish, and then the DXY will be somewhat bullish as well, you know? So like let's even take a look at it, right? Let's go ahead and compare it. Let's see what looks more closer to AUD USD. Is it the DXY or is it the AXY, which is the Australian dollar, right? To me, this looks a lot more like AUD USD. Like AUD USD is the blue line. It's literally like line for line what the Australian dollar is like, versus what the DXY, which is this orange line, it's doing the opposite of it, right? We see that price has dropped, the DXY popped to the upside. But, you know, like I said, if it's going to be following one of these two, Why not just look at the influence of the Australian dollar, because it's literally moving basically the exact same way. Let me change these to candlesticks real quick, because I do know that the Australian dollar, there's gaps in the market because it's only available between 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. But overall, it should be not basically, but almost the same price action. Candles, if you go a little closer to it. So the one that's opposite of it, that's oh, give me a second. This was a video that I was watching, and I don't know why it just started playing, but yeah, this is the DXY that's up here, and then we can see the Australian. Let me even take off the DXY because it looks a little confusing. But Australian dollar, we can see that it's basically candle for candle. It's basically following the same movement as AUD USD. So again, I usually pay attention more to the influence of the Australian dollar when it comes to this than the DXY. But the DXY being bullish can help the confluence for this play. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. I know that I got a little too in depth with it, but it's important to see. Hey Melodic, thanks for hopping on. The difference between bullish means that price is gonna increase, and bearish means that price is gonna decrease. Thank you for asking that question. All right, so that's with AUD USD. Chef, let's go ahead and take a look onto what that is looking like. So on Chef, USD, the US dollar, CHF, I've been saying, hey, at this point, I want to see price retrace back up over here to this level before I start to consider selling UCHEF. Let me go ahead and actually start from the beginning of this analysis. Let me go on to the weekly, delete all this stuff, and I'm just gonna piggyback off of what I was saying last week, right? So there's this downtrend line that I see on UCHEF. It's been respecting it for a couple of weeks now, right? Cool, awesome. Last week we had a huge bullish engulfing candle on UCHEF, but it did reject off of both this little trend line that I'm only using for visual purposes, and I'm looking at this level right here, this zone that price has been rejecting off of to the upside ever since September 21st last year. September 27th. No, actually, it was September 20th. Yeah, I was close. September 20th, 21st. Last year, that price has been rejecting off of this zone and rejecting off of this zone down here. Price has just been not consolidating, but ranging in between this zone for the past couple of weeks. Bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish. Are we going to see the bears come in after price rejecting off of here? We might be seeing that. That's something that, hey, price hasn't rejected off of that zone, so that's what I'm going to be currently watching, looking for. When we go on to the daily time frame, we see that yes, there is this big bullish move that happened the previous week, but last week we saw price rejecting off of here, and again, what are we seeing here? We're seeing a potential evening star pattern occur right here. Isn't it the same thing that we were looking at on the DXY, although the DXY was a little better looking than this in my opinion? But still, we see those wicks pushing to the upside and then price drop hard with it. Once I see that, I'm like, okay, this can be a potential sell that we might be seeing here. Definitely don't care for the bullish engulfing candle right here that can be signaling a potential Morningstar pattern to the upside. But again, after seeing this drop right here, at this point right now what my eyes are focused on is more of this retracement to the upside at 0.92964. Now, there's literally one issue that I have with UChef right now. There's liquidity on both sides, and what I mean by that is there are equal highs and equal lows on this that have yet to be broken. And what I mean by that is price literally like going underneath this zone, and price literally going above this zone. You know, because I can still like just push this up a little bit more. Price still has not exited out of either of these levels, so that's the one thing that has me tripping, because so long as it hasn't done that, it's gonna stay in this range. And you know, if I want to try to get into a sell opportunity right here at 0.92960 or 964 or whatever, you know, for me trying to get into a sell right here, I know, you know, let's just say I'm just gonna map it out like as if I'm getting into the trade, right? Let's just say that I'm getting into right here at 0.92964. And I'm just going to be like, hey, I'm going to put my stop loss above these highs, because I know that the possibility of price coming back up to literally 0.93440 does exist, right? My take profit would be below these lows. But then, again, what happens if that PMI news that's going to be coming up on Wednesday, or is it Thursday? I forgot which day it was. But what happens if that news is going to come up and say that, all right, I'm just literally going to push the UChef to the upside, stop you out, and then end up pushing to the downside. And vice versa can happen. If price comes up here and then it drops, it comes to my take profit, taking out these lows that are all down here and then pushing right back up. You know, either way can happen on UChef, but right now, if you were to play this, the best thing to do would be play the range. You know, since it's playing the range, if once it's at that resistance, wait for some confirmations, get into the sell. When it gets down to the support, if it hasn't broken to either side, then play the sell. And I think somebody has a question I'm not too sure. Does anybody have a question? Darren, do you have a question? No questions at all? Okay. If you do, don't be afraid to unmute yourself. So, yeah, this is the play I basically would have been looking for on UChef regardless. But I'm not saying to get into that trade. You know, I'm gonna be patient and wait to see. But that's something that I'm going to be watching for. You know, if I were to take a trade on UChef at this point in time, it would be a buy. It would be a sell. You know, from these lows down here to the highs that price came up over here, price did retrace and, you know, almost rejected off of my 71%. It didn't, but it almost did. It came very close to it. I'm pretty sure it's like a pip it came away from hitting, but it never did. And, you know, it be like that sometimes. So overall, gonna see what 0.92970 is gonna be looking like on UChef before I decide if I am going to get into the sell. I have my alert set. That's something I'm going to be watching for. I like this play better than... let me not lie. Let me not say I like this play better than I like AUD USD. But this could be definitely a setup that I'm looking for. Only thing that I really don't care for with this UChef play is this weekly time frame and how there was a bullish engulfing candle and prices... Like last week, price literally rejected off of the 50 EMA on the weekly. But other than that, we should be fine. You know, it should be something very interesting to take a look at. Okay, so here is USD UChef right here on the weekly time frame. On a weekly, we see that price is currently rejecting off of that upper danger zone. I like to see that, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea of what I would want to see throughout this whole week. I kind of want to see a wick to the upside and then price push down with the closing candle on the weekly. So we'll take a look at the weekly next week. Daily time frame, price is also rejecting at the upper danger zone on the daily. So hey, this could be a level where price rejects off of and then goes bearish. You know, don't necessarily want to play that, but definitely something for me to pay attention to. 4-hour time frame. Ooh, this is what I was looking for last week. And as much as I like seeing that, yes, after it called for the sell, it has retested the RSI line. Currently, as of right now, until an hour and 14 minutes from now, price is above that RSI line. And there's not full confirmation saying that this is going to go bearish. So right now, this is kind of risky to take for a for a sell to the downside. So there's that for you, Chef. And then the 1-hour time frame, definitely liking the prices currently here at that second deviation. But again, any type of sell opportunities, it'd be kind of risky at this point. I would rather just wait a little bit longer, so preferably 0.92970 we'll see some proper price action or some good confluences before I look to take this to the downside. Okay, so that's you, Chef. I'm gonna go on over here to USD Mexican pesos. All right, this is a trade that I could have got into last week, but I was like, hey, how about you just wait? Oops, not that. So this is what I was talking about last week. I had taken a trade on you, Chef, and unfortunately I got stopped out. I had talked about the reason why I got stopped out before price ultimately dropped down and hit a couple of our take profits. But I do like seeing these wicks to the upside like this on the daily time frame. Weekly time frame is not the greatest on USD Mexican peso in my opinion. Price is above that 50 EMA, and there's just a whole lot of hoopla, if you will, in my opinion, on USD Mexican pesos right now. But again, like I said, price rejected off of the 78.6 on the daily, pushed the downside. I love seeing that. One thing that I was noticing last week, and I didn't play it, but I'm going to be still watching for it, after price had broken through this structure right here. Let me get rid of this fib for a second. Hide that. From this high at 20.91170 to the low at 20.47659, price did, wait, go a little higher, there you go, to 20.47976. Price did come up to this Fibonacci zone at the 71% and leave a ruthless wick before pushing to the downside. That would have probably been an area where from this push to the downside, that would have been an area where I would have been looking for possible sell opportunities, but I'm just going to be patient with this at this time. If price comes back up, like, let's just say, if price comes back up to like 20.74670, then maybe I'll look for some selling opportunities there. Maybe it'll have to be pretty clean. It has to be a pretty clean setup. I like the way how price has been consolidated down here to get up there. So we'll see what goes down though, for sure. But overall, I want to see USD Mexican peso retrace a little bit higher up before falling. Just like the DXY. Going on over to arbitrage. Going over to the weekly time frame. Price is currently rejecting off of that upper danger zone, so that's something to watch out for. Daily time frame, we do have the buys on USD Mexican peso. We do have the buys. Price did reject off of that mean line, so it's kind of iffy for me. I don't know if I would have necessarily taken that buy opportunity, honestly speaking. Just like with you, Chef, with USD Mexican peso on the 4-hour, we do have the sell, but price is it's been rejecting off of that upper danger zone. So with USD Mexican peso, this can literally can start pushing to the downside as of tonight. But like I said, I'm going to be waiting for price to come up a little bit higher before I even think about trying to sell it. Don't necessarily want to hop in that too fast in the 1-hour time frame. Nowhere close to even calling for a buy. For a sell or a buy. Like last time I called for a buy was off of this bullish impulsive candle. I would not have gone into that. So Gonna be patient and wait on USD Mexican peso. I have my alert set. Other than that, I'm not gonna be looking to chase price. I'm gonna wait for price to come and chase me. All right, let's go to everyone's favorite, Goldilocks. Gold hurt my feelings last week, man. Gonna tell you guys why. I got into this trade right here. I said, hey, this trade over here at 1804 looks like a pretty solid one to me for gold. You know, for a cool intraday trade, risk like 47 pips on it. And unfortunately, price came in, it stopped me out. I break even before ultimately coming down. How many pips? I forgot how many pips it was. I don't even think I calculated it, but a solid 157 pips after it stopped me out on my stop loss. It's kind of hurtful, but you know, it's one of the three things that happens with my strategy, and you know, I always have to be accepting to that. You know, again, price came 6 pips away from my TP1 before going and hitting my stop loss, and that's okay. So now. Oh wow, did this actually play out? Ugliest. Dang, the thing's ugly, but it did play out. That's weird. But anyways, this one played out too. Huh, that's funny. Anywho's, with gold, same thing as I said last week. Now I'm going to actually set the alert. I was saying that, hey, 1832 doesn't look like a bad possible place for gold to return back up to before continuing that bearish move, you know. Week prior, let's go on to the weekly time frame actually. Week prior, we had a bearish engulfing candle on the weekly time frame off of that zone. I love to see that. Then we have a retracement candle. You know, it didn't engulf the previous candle. That's another thing I love to see. However, price is above that 50 EMA, but at this point, that 50 EMA is just a straight line at this point. So it's not necessarily something that I'll be too worried about, you know. Daily time frame, definitely seeing those wicks to the downside as, you know, hey, price doesn't want to sell right now. It wants to go bullish, and I love seeing that. So 1832.67 is that zone that I'm going to be watching for on gold. And, you know, okay. And once I see price hit that area, I'm going to be like, okay, well, first of all, let me drop the fib from this high of 1854 to the low of 1780. Like, all right, so price now coming up into that 1832 zone. Wait, no, 1833 zone. Now, that would be an area where I'll be looking for, you know, some additional sells, you know, from this bearish impulsive move. The price did reject off of this zone after rejecting off of it a couple of times in the past. You know, took out those equal lows pretty nicely at that. You know, I had mentioned about it. Let me even see if I have it, the fib from that upside move. This was from last week that I drew. Did I draw that out? That I drew that out, I mean. Sorry. Long position. Oh, wow. If anybody got into that and still in it, they can still hold that. I'm not in it. I'll tell you that right now. What was the short position? Oh, yeah, from the swing. Okay, apparently I don't have it. But so what I was saying is that, hey, this is where the zone came from, you know, from the low of 1754 to the high of 1854. 71% Fibonacci level got hit, price pushed to the upside, right? So again, 1833.446, I'm going to have an alert set there, and I'm going to be looking to see what gold is going to do before I decide if I'm going to take additional sells on it, right? So that's on Goldilocks. Nothing's really changed for me on that. I wouldn't necessarily look to even be I wouldn't try to be selling up here. I feel like price is just going to continue going bullish. A couple of fibs that played out nicely. This played out interestingly enough. And so that's on gold. Let me go ahead and go on over to arbitrage. Oh yeah, this was a trade that I had taken on the 1 hour. Or was it on the 4 hour? Definitely was on the 1 hour. Remove drawings. Okay. So weekly time frame, price consolidating. Don't necessarily want to play this, but I do see that the price called a buy 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I'm not necessarily trying to play that right now. Daily time frame, price called a sell on Friday and currently is holding right at that RSI line, right? It's not below it, it's not underneath it, it's holding right there. I'm going to wait and see what this is going to do. You know, like I said, I definitely want to see price push up a little higher, but with that compass line right here and the momentum line still above price, again, me seeing price come up to 1832, it'll be cool. That would be at that upper danger zone, or 1833 I mean. That would be at that upper danger zone on the daily bands. But then that would be make me going up against the buy that this is probably ultimately going to call. You know, 4 hour time frame calling for a buy. Oh, wow. I don't know how I didn't see this. But yeah, this is going to take off. Like, I would have tried to got in right here for sure. If I would have seen this earlier. Yeah, I would have probably got in. So we'll see what happens with gold. I do believe it's going to continue going bullish. Again, 1833. That's an area where I'm going to be looking for before price continues to push to the downside. If it does do that, and the 1 hour time frame, this I would have been hopeless. I would not have traded this. Because again, consolidating markets, I don't like necessarily trading them with the bands. That's just my personal opinion on them. Alright, so that's for Goldilocks. Let's go ahead and take a look at S&P. SPX 500. Alright, so last week, what was I saying last week on this? Let me go ahead and take a look at what I got all over here. Yeah, sounds about me. Sounds about me. Yeah. That's the higher fib. Price rejected off of that on the daily time frame, like I had mentioned last week, that I was looking for it to do. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, same fib. Delete that. Long position right there would have smacked. I'm just going to delete everything and start off fresh. Alright, so U-Chef, I'm just going to draw similar of what I had last week. U-Chef, you know, from these lows, or it's not even from last week, but I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. So from this low where price, this is where the impulsive, well, not the impulse, but the bullish move started, like really started right there. And retracement all the way to the upside. Price rejected off of this zone. Now, there might be some that have this zone drawn out for the fibs. There might be some that have this drawn out for the fibs. Either or, you know, realistically speaking, they're both correct. Because they both did reject off of this fib zone. Yeah, this one, it was no love for the 78.6 Fibonacci rather than the other one. But they still both hit, right? And the price continued going bullish. Now, after seeing that, I was saying I don't like that wick to the upside realistically on the S&P, right? But as price went bullish, I was saying, hey, this is one thing that I'm going to be watching for on S&P. You know, from these highs to this low, I want to watch and see how this fib level is going to hold. You know, and that's what happened to be where the daily 50 EMA is at for the S&P, you know, right over here at this zone. Supply. So price rejected off of the 61.8, didn't necessarily come to the 71%, then it started to fall. Yeah, as much as I'm not crazy over this daily candle rejecting off of the 50 EMA, I still have a feeling that price is potentially going to come up to 46, like it could still come up to 4,600 or 4,641. So what I'm probably going to end up doing personally is either these bears, this consolidation right here, it got me a little twisted. But I'm going to be watching to see what price is going to do throughout the rest of the day. It's not, let me see what's up on the 1 hour. It's not the cleanest by any means, but price did go up one way without making any real retracement. So I'm gonna pay attention to what price was gonna do around 4,366. I'm just gonna have an alert there, but I'm not gonna make any drastic decisions or anything like that here. Just gonna watch and see if price even gets there, let alone trying to take a trade opportunity. So we're gonna see what happens on the S&P. Right now, it's at a very interesting level in my opinion, and I don't want to necessarily buy nor sell it right here. I feel like this can still go down a little bit more. And yes, if we're going to the 15-minute time frame, and I say, hey, from these lows to these highs, price rejected, went bullish. Absolutely, from these lows, these highs, price did reject off of this zone, went bullish. Another one. But you know what I'm saying? Like, overall, we're going to see what happens in the market. We don't want to rush into anything, especially on a higher time frame basis where price is just bounce off of a swing level and it's retraced back up over here into this supply zone where supply really kicked in. So we're gonna have to pay attention and see what this is gonna do for the S&P. I don't want to also take away the fact that price can still come up a little bit higher. We can even argue that price just whipped off of the 61.8 from the all-time high to where price came into this demand zone. We can argue and say that the 61.8 got hit and price just rejected off of it hardcore. So that would make me really want to see, okay, I still want to see 4,646 overall, So we're going to see what goes down with the S&P. You know what I'm saying? So, and let me go on over to arbitrage before I continue. Dang, that 1 hour might be saucing. All right, weekly time frame. Now, again, just like how I said last week, and I don't appreciate the fact that price did close underneath that RSI line. It's gonna make me feel really bearish. It's gonna make me feel really bearish. Right now, price is currently under the RSI line, and when it comes to the S&P, price is really not fond of being under the RSI line, and when it is closing under the RSI line, it's not the greatest sign. Right here, yeah. Wait, let me see. What was the close on this? 2,632. Yeah, price didn't close 2,540. No, 2,600. Yeah, this price closed once, and that was, hold on. Yeah, and underneath the RSI line, and that was over here on this candle. Candle right after that, it closed above. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, when the candlestick from previous times, right now there's no better time than the present. I understand that, but previous times with the bands, with these settings in particular, with looking at past data, usually any time that the S&P was closing underneath the RSI line was not a good sign. That's one thing that I'm paying attention to right now, right? So if I go on to current price action or current price and seeing the weekly closing underneath that RSI line, not 1 week, not 2 weeks, but 3 weeks in a row is not the greatest sign for me. Now, that's not saying that I'm bearish on the S&P quite yet, because it can still go bullish. It can still go up to 4,685. But what we saw last week with price rejecting off of that 61.8, and with the fact that I'm saying, hey, same thing as I was saying, like price closing underneath that RSI line 3 weeks in a row, not that great a sign for me. Daily time frame, price is called for the bears. It retraced back up to that lower danger zone and rejected off of it, falling down a little bit more. Not that great of a sign for the buys. 4 hour time frame. Price is currently looks like it's about to call for a sell. Right now, it's currently at that RSI line, but has 55 minutes until the 4 hour candlestick closes. Again, not that great of a sign for the buys. 1 hour time frame. Price still has to, it broke out to the upside and it retraced, but it never gave a buy opportunity, and even the candle that it retraced with wasn't that great. So when it comes to the indices right now, I'm not crazy over buying them. You know, the only time that I'm probably going to look to buy it is if, for the S&P, again, is if I'm going to see what price does over here at 4,370, you know. Then I would make my decision on if I decide to try to sell it or not. But I mean, buy it or not, but I'm not feeling S&Ps like that. Same thing with Dow Jones. I already have it mapped out here, you know. Well, I didn't already have it. This is like, I don't think I touched this chart last week that often. But from the highs to the lows, price came and rejected off of the 61.8. Very similar to what SPX 500 did. And so that makes me think, oh, is it gonna reject off of here before going bearish? Weekly time frame wise, we see that yes, price rejected off of that 50 EMA, and where we got this big blue zone, same thing with how we got it with the S&P, right? Where we started with the bullish move right here. Wait, was it? Hold on, let me put this high up here first. Where we got this low right here, this like where price dropped this wicked, then really started to take off to make all-time highs. The retracement, yeah, price came back to the 78.6 and went bullish very nicely 2 weeks in a row. But this bearish engulfing candle, I cannot ignore it. Although with the US indices, as I say a lot of times, these things are built to buy, and when I start seeing them that they are getting at places where they're looking good for buys, I like to buy them rather than try to sell them, you know. So the US 30, again, with that box, we figure out why that box is there, from the low of 32,120 to the high of 36,970. That's where that bullish move really started. That's where that fib is. That's where that zone came from. And, you know, again, that 61.8 that price rejected off of, it's telling me be careful. You know, if I really want to put the fib right here, then it's rejected off of the 71%. You know, it's telling me be careful for the sells. But again, with the U.S. indices being this high, and with all the talks of rates getting changed, interest rates being changed, optimism, and the dollar gaining strength and all that, we could possibly see the Dow Jones falling. But again, based off of past data, you just got to take a look at past data. You have more chances at buying than selling the U.S. indices, whether it's S&P, NASDAQ, or US 30. You know, you have a higher chance at making money buying it than selling it. But when you're trying to buy it at these all-time highs, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. So, yeah, that's what I have for US 30. I definitely am being careful with this. I think that it's possibly going to keep falling to the downside. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Same thing with SPX 500. You know, I want to see what price is going to do from this low to this high. I don't necessarily care for this fib. Quite honestly, I think I'd rather want to play this than this. But I'm going to keep my option. I'm going to keep the options open. You know, I'm not going to set an alert on it because I don't necessarily care for this pair right now, like I said. But I'll be paying attention to it. Well, not that I don't care for it, but this play in itself, I'm not crazy over it until I see price get there. So that's US 30. Let's take a look at it on arbitrage. Same thing, weekly time frame. I don't necessarily like seeing price closing 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row below that RSI line. I've noticed in the past that, you know, this can kind of get away with it. One candlestick underneath the RSI line went bullish above it. One over here went bullish. Couple over here, you know, couple candlesticks down here where it was under, but then price went bullish. So it's not the same thing as with SPX 500, but I'm still being extremely careful with the indices with up here. I'm more bearish than I am bullish on them at this point, long term wise, just because of the way how the bands look. You know, us seeing the possibility of 31,000 on US 30, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that in the next 2 to 3 months. You know, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I'd probably be like, dang, that really happened, but it wouldn't surprise me. Daily time frame looks very similar to SPX 500. You know, got the sell rejection off of the RSI line. It could continue falling. If it holds here at that 35,000 level, then yeah, we might see price continue going bullish. But I don't know, Chief. This is looking pretty bearish to me. 4-hour time frame, we're starting to see that crossover. This is not a good sign as well for the bears. You know, this only makes me think, what do the cryptos look like? And I'm about to go and take a look at them very shortly. Y'all gonna love the 4-hour on Bitcoin, and y'all gonna love the daily on Bitcoin as well. But the way how this is printing out, I'm not so crazy about how I'm gonna be looking at the cryptos. 1-hour time frame, called for the bears right here. Never got the retracement before the continuation, but that's cool. If I'm looking for buys, I would have to look for this breakout, retest, continuation. So that's with US 30. Let me go take a look at NAS real quick. The NASDAQ. I'm pretty sure it looks pretty much the same. This played out too perfect. I don't know who I drew this up for, or it's probably not that I drew it up for anybody, but it's probably because like, oh, people were trading it, and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm looking at for US indices, but this played out too perfectly. Anyway, same thing basically with the NAS 100, right? Let me go ahead. Oops. Let me go ahead, remove drawings, go closer up, wick to the downside, price close under the 50 EMA. That's interesting to see. From these lows right here, where price was leaving these wicks and actually made the bullish move from this low right here to this high, that's where the actual bullish move to the next all-time high was. Price retraced all the way to the 78.6 fib, left a wick down there, and pushed to the upside. Beautiful play. Daily time frame, kind of the same jazz. Now, with the NASDAQ, that is different from the S&P and from US 30, is that from, let's just even say from this low, from where price made that bearish impulsive move to the downside, we can see that from the high of 16,076.5 to the low of 13,712, price has rejected off of that 61.8 Fibonacci level. Oops, hold on, let me move this a little lower. However, if we move this all the way to these highs, price is still pretty far off. So that's the difference between SPX and SPX 500 and US 30 versus NAS 100. You know, there's still a potential upside move to this, which if there's a potential upside move to this, that makes me think that there's still a potential upside move for both US 30 and SPX 500. So that's another reason why I'm not necessarily too crazy trying to get into anything right now. And, you know, honestly speaking, if I were to play this kind of looks like the white cough a little bit, but if I were to play this at this point, it'd probably be something like this on NAS 100. Where I wait for price to, I don't care for how price just rejected off of that 61.8. But if price were to come down to like the 71% or the 78.6, that's where I would be looking for some potential selling opportunities on US 30. On NAS 100. And I'm pretty sure arbitrage looks pretty much the same. Break, retest, continuation on the 1 hour. That's what I would need. The 4 hour is calling for a sell. If this candle closes like this in 45 minutes, that sell will be called. The daily does not look good for a buy at all. The weekly does not look good for a buy at all. Out of all of these, this is the only one that's actually showing a bearish candlestick. A sell call, but it hasn't played out yet. And same logic as with the S&P and NASDAQ. If price is underneath the RSI line, then we're not going to have that likelihood of price buying. than if it was above the RSI line. And we can see that this is, I mean, quite honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, although price did reject off of this mean line, I would have probably tried to take this L. I'm not even kidding. Right here, when price rejected right there, I probably would have tried to take it. I'm not gonna lie to anybody, but I wasn't paying attention to it. Therefore, it's cap. But yeah, other than that, everything else, it's not looking good for these indices, which then leads me to the cryptos. I don't like seeing that price was just above 42K and then price came back to 41K. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign for me, right? Oh, wait, that's not where I'm at. I'm over here. Oh, Bitcoin, don't do this. Biddy, don't do this. Well, first of all, paint-in, although this was ugly, this smacked. I'm just letting you know. But let's take a look at the weekly. Let's take a look at the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. That 34,700 got hit pretty nicely between from this low to this high. 34,000 down here still got hit nicely. This, if people were still in this trade from this low to this high, you should be. It still looks valid to me. You know, still looks like a valid area. I'm gonna go ahead. If anybody on YouTube or just on DeFi Domination or Trade the Next Wave or Arbitrage, just go look at the previous analysis that I've done for Bitcoin. If you're looking for my long terms, nothing has really changed for me on that end. I'm gonna delete everything off my chart right now, but nothing has really changed for me on that end, where like my potential long term, if it goes bearish prediction, or long term if price does go bullish, what it should look like. But overall, just looking at last month, the monthly candle, looking for the past 3 months, it's not been looking that great for Bitcoin, right? Although we have 21 days until the next candle closes, so we won't have to look at that far into the future as of yet, right? Weekly time frame, I love seeing this bullish candle. What are you guys seeing here? To me, right now, this looks like a potential morning star pattern. Oops, this needs to get a little bit more narrow. There we go. This right here looks to me like a pretty solid, pretty good looking morning star pattern. We have bearish candle. I like the wick to the downside. It's even lower than the previous wick. And then we have a bullish engulfing candle right after engulfing the previous bullish candle. I love seeing that. I love to see it. You know what I don't love seeing? Price underneath this 50 EMA. I don't like price being under this 50 EMA and it's so low under it at that. Yeah, we had one day right here where price really did, 1 week where price really did close under the 50 EMA and then popped right back up. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of price underneath the 50 EMA. Not necessarily craziest over that, but we have times back down here when price was at 7,000 where it was below the 50 EMA for a couple of weeks. Back over here, back in 2019 when price was under the 50 EMA for a couple of weeks, same thing. Over here after the bull run, price was under the 50 EMA for a couple of weeks. It's possible for us to see that. That doesn't mean that that still doesn't mean we can't use that as, oh, that's not a great sign. Let me actually draw out my zone one more time so that I have that zone drawn out. So from these low of where price really started the bullish move to the high, so back down to from the 4,000 to 69,000, I'm still saying the same zones as I've mentioned previously. Anywhere between basically anywhere between 18,000 or 28K. That's prime time. Look to dollar cost average and buy area. If price drops anything lower than that, if you're not buying Bitcoin or any of the other cryptos, I don't know what you're doing. even if price comes down to 8,000, even if price comes down to 10,000, if you're not buying these cryptos, I don't know what you're doing. Because if this thing basically went up to 70,000 and it gave you an opportunity to buy down here, you've had, I mean, just think about it for those who might have been trading longer than since past 2020. Like you've been trading since 2019, 2018. All this time when people were talking about Bitcoin and you were saying that I don't want to get into Bitcoin, I don't want to get into Bitcoin. And then price makes this big of a move. And if it possibly gives you a type of entry back down over here or even down over here, you're trying to tell me that you wouldn't take that opportunity after seeing what is done and seeing the proof in the pudding of what is done, all out of all the type of real life adaptation that the cryptos are bringing. If price comes down to these levels at 19,000, even 13,000, even 10,000, even if Bitcoin came down to $4,000, I would be a fool not to get into not to buy some. I would be a fool. Do you know why? From $4,000, let's say if price from these highs, price did crash for some reason all the way back down to $4,000. If price goes back up to those all-time highs, that's 1,757% on the money that I invested. I'm just saying, if prices do decide to drop, which I'm still, it's still a little too early. I like what we're seeing on the weekly. It's still a little too early to tell. I'm not necessarily a big fan of price going above 42K and then dropping like that. I've been talking about this zone right here. Was it this zone or was it over here that I might have been talking about? It's one of these two zones right here that I was talking about for just the shorter term. I'm not even talking about for where I could see price potentially going bullish up to before it decides to turn around, right? So from these lows to these highs, yeah, this is probably what I was talking about. Price shattered through this zone. I love to see it personally. Let me see something real quick actually. Okay, it did it. I just wanted to see. But yeah, what I'm trying to look at right now is seeing that, hey, is price going to hold here? Because technically speaking, it's still holding here at the 78.6 from these lows where price had came up to 44,000 before it made that drop down to 32,000. Price 4-hour time frame, the candlestick's going to close in 2 hours and 37 minutes. But if price holds below here, this 42,000, I'm not going to be that optimistic about price going up to 40. I would love to see 44K get hit by the end of tonight. If tonight we see, like, not tonight, I mean by, let me see when this weekly candle closes. Or did it already close? Yeah, it already closed. It just closed. If in 22 hours we can see price go to 44K, I'll be happy with Bitcoin. Overall, I can't ignore though. Overall, even if price does go up to 44K tonight, again, I'll be happy, but I cannot ignore this bearish move. If I ignore this move to the downside, then I'll be doing everybody that's watching this analysis a disservice. Right? 58, anywhere between 55K to 61K is where I'm going to be watching for long-term wise. Hey, is this going to be a zone that if Bitcoin does get back up there, that price is going to continue to turn around? Which, of course, I've been saying the opposite of it, for the buys. Hey, if you're going to be looking for buys, you want to buy down here and look for tick partials up over here at that 60K level. If you're looking to buy it if you were buying it on leverage and if you're still holding these positions. Lord knows I have 1 or 2 positions still holding and it's in drawdown. But anyways, that's besides the point. Again, when it comes to Bitcoin right now, loving what it's doing so far on daily. It looks very solid, very, very solid, but I don't like how it just went up to 42K and then came back down. It's probably going to consolidate around here a little bit, Other than this zone that I have marked off, next level that I'm really going to be watching for a biddy is going to be around that 46 to 48K area. I'm actually going to leave an alert there. I would love for this to get hit. And again, it's just an area of where supply kicked in, and I just want to see price get back up there. But overall, shorter term, if I'm looking for any type of buy plays on Bitcoin right now, if it gives me the opportunity, although again, I don't like the way how it just rose above 42K and then came back down and closed underneath it. But if I do see the price comes back down, 35K is going to be that sweet spot for me. It's going to be that sweet spot for any type of buy opportunities for a long-term play. That's where that demand kicked in. So we'll see what goes down with Bitcoin. But overall, this is what I'm looking for. I'm not going to be necessarily trying to leverage or margin trade this until price gets down at these levels. But hey, I mean, same thing as what I've been saying. If you were buying and if you were dollar cost averaging Bitcoin at these prices down over here, 36K to 33K, all you need is for price to come up to that 60K level and you've doubled your money. So, I mean, if you bond into it, if you dollar cost average into it, like I've been mentioning the past 2 weeks, then you would be pretty decent on these cryptos, dollar cost averaging wise. Or not on these cryptos, but on Bitcoin. So again, I have my zones that I'm watching for price. Those are my main 2 levels that I'm watching. And so we'll see what price does, whether it gets up to 46K first or 35K. But like I said, long-term wise, I'm definitely keeping my eyes on Zibity. All right, so going over to Ethereum. Ethereum, literally the same thing. I had talked about this last week, and the zone is still holding that I talked about last week. Let me even see if I have it over here. Yeah, boom, right here. The exact same zone, right? From the high of 3,289 to the low of 2,152. Price came up to that retracement. It's been rejecting off of the 78.6 zone. I got to see how price is holding here, but I couldn't necessarily, personally for me, try to call any buys or be in any buys on the cryptos when I'm seeing that there's these zones that price can reject off of. 4-hour time frame wise, I was saying, hey, I wanted to see from this low price push to the upside, retrace down here, and then continue. But, and let me go ahead and delete this fib. Going over to the weekly, overall, this is the bearish zone that we're looking at, but from the lows of when price came down into this zone, and this zone is literally the same thing as what I did with Bitcoin, like from the lows of March of 2020 to the all-time highs, this is just the fib zone in between, And before, yes, before, Ethereum did give some people some good opportunities to dollar cost average over here at 1,721 before making all-time highs. But overall, this zone is still going to hold here. I'm still going to be watching and seeing what price will do if it does come back into that zone. But that would be a zone I'd be saying, especially for Ethereum. I'm not saying for Bitcoin, but for Ethereum in particular, dollar cost average until you can't dollar cost average anymore inside this zone. Dollar cost averaging over here at 1,742 would have been solid. But, again, this is for those who've been watching my analysis for a long time. You guys know that I talked about this price when it came down here and saying, hey, right here is a good place to be dollar cost averaging, and it did do 182% gain, but the way how it's looking, gotta also peep this side, gotta also peep the other side of what this market can do. And so, just like how I have with Bitcoin, this is going to be a zone on the higher time frames that I'm going to be watching for and saying, hey, once price gets into here, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do if these cryptos do go bullish and they come up into this zone? Are you going to be looking for, hey, maybe you want to start taking your partial profits at this, maybe you want to start taking profits up at this zone. you know, because then you would be profitable, taking profits up here, not down here. Or you would be, depending on when you got in, but again, that's all speculation, right? Right now, price can hold at this zone and continue going bearish, absolutely, you know. Overall, though, longer term, if price does decide to go bullish, then I definitely would. Again, I'm going to see what price is going to do in between 30,832 and 4,290. So we'll see what goes on with that. Overall, this fib from these lows to these highs. Let me get rid of this over here. You know, it's still held at that 78.6 very nicely for that bullish play. You know, again, I was looking more for this play for the buy, but again, I don't know why. I should have just played this instead and listened to my personal judgment. And you know, we'll see what happens. Overall, right now, Ethereum looks solid for it to continue going bullish. I would love for it to continue going bullish. I can't get into any trades right now. You know, if I were to try to call, let me not say that. But anyways, what I'm trying to see, if it's going to hold at this zone, it's very, very choppy. It doesn't look the greatest at all. But 2,426 will be where I would look for to say that, hey, if price is going to hold at this zone, I'm gonna go for the buy. You know, so we'll see what that is looking like on Ethereum. And I just realized that I did not take a look at Bitcoin on arbitrage. I'll go ahead and take a look at that right now. Weekly time frame. Let me go ahead and go on Bitcoin first before I talk about Ethereum. Okay, Bitcoin. Weekly time frame, I don't like this sell being called right here and prices underneath that mean line. Not the greatest sign for me, but at the same time, we stay optimistic about is it Bitcoin. Daily time frame, I love seeing this. That's why I said that you guys are going to love seeing the daily time frame on arbitrage. However, no matter what, I need that retracement at least to 39K before going bullish. Technical analysis wise, I need that retracement way lower. But 39K is the minimum that I need the retracement before I look for any type of buys. And of course, my stop loss will be beneath these lows, you know. But the setup would look like something like this. I'm not saying this is the trade that I'm calling. I'm just saying this is what the setup would look like. Now, if I get there and I call it, I call it. But if not, then oh well. It's like a 1 to 2.27 risk to reward back up to 55K. Daily time frame. That looks pretty solid, but again, this will be the setup. I'm not taking responsibility, or I will not take responsibility if anybody takes that trade and they lose, because like I said, I'm not necessarily playing it, but that's the minimum I would need to see. That's the minimum that I would need to see the market play before I look to like try to get into a buy or anything like that, right? 4-hour time frame, bulls came in, but it is what it is. Wait, no, 4-hour time frame. The bulls came in right here, break, retest. I would have loved to have gone in at the buy right there. I didn't. And price just continued going bullish. But it did call for a sell short term before going bullish again. And, you know, 1-hour time frame is consolidating right here. I don't necessarily like seeing that it's consolidating because it's just going to throw up a whole bunch of different of these. But if price holds here, then I'm expecting this to push to the downside. Like, absolutely. You know, yellow candlesticks makes me think that the bulls are in control, but still, we'll see what goes down. Right now, price is currently at 42,000. I would hate to see, well, not that I would hate to see it, because I did say that 39K would be where I need to see price go down to before the minimum before I would look to sell it. I've already said that, you know, 35,000 is where I would personally get into a buy, but yeah, we'll see what goes on with Zibidi. I would love for it to drop though. Why am I on the 30-minute time frame? Ethereum, going on to the weekly time frame. same thing. Prices underneath the RSI line. Not really too crazy over seeing that. The sell hasn't been called yet, and it hasn't been called since back over here in March, and then shortly after, in April, called for the buy. But yeah, not really crazy over seeing price underneath that RSI line and holding like that for a couple of weeks now. Daily time frame, just like with Bitcoin, I love seeing that price is above the RSI line. I'm not crazy over trying to get into a buy right now, although yes, it is technically rejecting off of the RSI line. If I go a little closer, you'll see it. It's technically rejected off of the RSI line, and it's technically rejecting off of the lower danger zone as well. But there's no confirmations. There's no buy call yet. There's no level pro above ground zero, arbitrage Z above ground zero. So trying to buy it, it would be too early right now, you know. Although I do hey, if price closes above 3,082, I do believe that we'll see 3,413 in no time, you know, on Ethereum. But I'm not going to try to play that right now. 4-hour time frame looks like it might be starting to set up for a potential sell, but it's too early to tell right now at the second deviation. But I'm not trying to buy at these prices. And the 1-hour time frame called for a sell a couple hours ago, over there at 2 a.m. earlier today. But right now, again, prices above that RSI line. Not necessarily too crazy for the sells, but higher time frames is what's making me not want to get into anything right now. So again, same thing. I want to see Ethereum come down to 2,426 before I start to take a look at anything, right? XRP, I love seeing this. I love seeing the bulls. Damn, I need to call my homie back up. He calling me on my other phone. There we go. So that's what that XRP. From the high at 81 cents to the lows right here at 54 cents. 54 cents would have been such money if anybody bought. You know, I'm still looking at that 73 cents as an area of interest for potential bears to kick in. But as of right now, again, I'm just holding my hands. I know a lot of people don't trade Ripple on leverage. It's cool. But yeah, I'm being patient with this right here. Push to the upside, push to the downside. I would if that's what's going to be the setup, then that's what's going to be the setup. I'm not going to try to get into this bullish move, although I feel like this is going to take off. But yeah, overall, I love the bulls. I love the bulls for sure. But I'm not trying to get into anything as of yet. You know, XRP is doing better than both Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's cool, but I'm just gonna hold my hand on those. Okay, let's go on over to these GBPs and then I'll call it a day. If anybody wants me to look at any other pairs other than GBP, JPY, Euro GBP, and GU like I'm doing right now, go ahead and list those out, and I can take a look at those before I get off of here. So overall, weekly time frame, you know, I was saying, you know, realistically speaking, price is on the daily time frame at least. Price is making lower highs and lower lows, right? This was the previous lower high. Price never rejected off of it, so I am still looking for the possible bear plays on GPUSD from those highs at 1.38385 to the lows of 1.31624. Prices retraced back up to the 78.6, rejected off of it nicely, and then price pushed to the downside. Right? Love to see that. Daily time frame. Let me go ahead and get rid of these fibs now. Daily time frame, I see that price when it was going bearish, it moved very nicely. I was saying, hey, I want to see the retracement before price continues going to the downside. And this is the retracement that I wanted to see from the high of 1.37524 to the low of 0.133569. I just wanted price to come back into 1.36400. That's all I wanted, you know. I wanted price to get back up there, set my alarm off, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm looking for sales long term. Didn't get that. Price came very close to it, but didn't get it. 4-hour time frame, you know, same thing. Didn't get that. Price rejected off of these and then just pushed to the downside. It looks pretty solid, you know. And so at this point, I'm like either one of two things. Either A, price is just going to retrace back up to like 1.35900 in the fall, or the likes of that, right? Or B, price is going to come up even higher and hit my alert, hit the 78.6 and then fall. But overall, I want to see this market go bearish. I want to see the GEPs go bearish. And you know, if the dollar does gain strength, then that's gonna make GU, you know, push to the downside even more. So we'll see what goes down though. I would definitely like the bears more than the bulls. Although I do know that price can possibly come up to 1.34500 before going bullish, but that's not what I'm currently looking at, right? So if I see anything different, I'll let y'all know, but I'm not really seeing anything that different from what I said. Weekly time frame, price is still rejecting off of this this RSI line right here. Not the greatest look on the weekly in my opinion, so not even gonna look too much deep into it. GU daily time frame, price is up here at that upper danger zone, rejected off of it. I gotta see what this does, but I'm not necessarily looking for these sells until I get my better pricing, to say the least. 4-hour time frame, never got the retracement, so that's like, you know, it's unfortunate on that. Let me go ahead and remove drawings. Never got the retracement on the buy, the price went bullish, and I think that 1 hour might be setting up for a sell, or it already did call a sell. Never mind. Broke, retest continued. I would not have gone into this though. So yeah, overall GU, it is what it's, you know, it's not the greatest looking. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit because I'm getting hungry, y'all. Okay, so GP JPY was the same thing, you know. It actually hit at that 71% fib at 156.391. So overall, kind of the same thing as what I'm seeing on GP USD. I would want to see if price is going to show me some love and come up over here to the likes of 156.237. I think it already did, question mark? No, not really. Like, I want to see 156.240 or 156.300, and then I'll probably get into a long-term sell with my stop loss above these highs. Probably, you know, it's not written in stone quite yet, but that's what I'm looking out for on GBP JPY. You know, from these highs where price pushed down, that retracement, price has been rejecting off of that 71% Fibonacci level pretty nicely. I want it to continue to the downside long term, right? Let me go ahead and delete all that so that I can then just, you know, speak my piece on this, then continue. Weekly though, weekly time frame, we can agree that, you know, right here, price is making higher highs and higher lows for that bullish move on the weekly from these lows to up here. We do know that price is holding at this zone that it previously, you know, previously used it as equal highs, broke out to the upside. Same thing over here. Was just just basically fake breaking out to the upside, but then coming back down to the downside. So this is a major zone on GBP JPY, very major zone, you know. So gonna wait and see what again, 71% over here, got rejected off of twice. I want to see this continue down. That would be ideal for these sells. Going on to the 4-hour time frame. Or not the 4-hour. More of the 15-minute. This is probably what I'm going to be looking at tonight. Although it's not the greatest look either. But dang, this already hit off of that candle open. Yeah, this already smacked. I'm going to just be patient and see what GJ is going to do. And like, maybe during the London session, we'll get price come back above like 156.747. And then to push to the downside, that would be fire for me to see. And so that's for GJ. RB, 1-hour time frame. Ooh, this changes a lot. This makes me just want to sell this right now, quite honestly. Only the sell is the only thing that's confirmed on this, other than the fact that price is underneath the the momentum line. This red line is underneath the compass line. The RSI line, so that's a good line. It's a little risky, but it's not a terrible sell either. 4-hour, very much bullish. Daily time frame, I do not like to see when candles are calling for a sell, but it's above the RSI line. I would not necessarily get into that. And on the weekly time frame, it's still consolidating on this little higher time frame. So, yeah, with GJ, I do prefer the sells over the buys. It's just it'll be riskier than other trades. Right? Last but not least, Euro GBP. This hurt my feelings. This was the other trade that I took last week. And, again, it hurt my feelings because, or not last week, I took this trade actually 2 weeks ago. I took this trade on the 27th or the 26th, right? Was in drawdown. Price consolidated a good amount. Price came back up and put me in profit for a little bit at that above the 61.8 fib, and then ended up coming back down to only wick me out of the trade right here. That was a 40 pip stop loss, and then push to the upside, not even giving me a chance to get in and going to take out my TP1, TP2, and TP3. TP4, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets hit today either. So that was, that sucked. It sucked to be me, honestly speaking. But that's just, that's how it is. I know that's a likelihood of my strategy that I use. But overall, what I was looking for was that bullish move, the retracement. Price stalked me out, as it did a whole bunch of other traders trading EG, because there's these equal lows down here. This is what I'd be talking about, that liquidity grab before going to the other way. So EG went bullish. That's cool. I'm not even going to look at it on arbitrage because it's probably going to be bullish on a whole bunch of time frames. But overall, I kind of have to look for this on EG at this point. So price coming back to 0.83382 would be what I would look for a buy. But EG is tripping, so I'm not even going to look at that. 1 hour time frame setting up for a potential sell, but not there yet. Oops. 4 hour time frame, very much bullish, although this would not I would not have gone into this, quite honestly. Consolidating market like that, I would not have gone into the 4 hour. Daily time frame, barely about to get this buy signal. I would need the retracement back down to 0.83677, and if price did that, I'd be skeptical, quite honestly. And on the weekly, we still are not anywhere close to even trying to get into a buy, which again, I will still need to wait for breakout, retest, continuation for me to get into. So with that being said, I am sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, but I didn't want to give out any trades. As of yet, the market is still, rebounding, still looking fresh. Is this what you were just talking about painting? Probably not. I don't know. But with that being said, if there's not any other questions, comments, or concerns, I will go ahead and bid y'all an adieu. Thank y'all for hopping on to my weekly session. I do appreciate it. That's funny. And let's see what these markets are going to do. All right, y'all. I hope y'all have, I love seeing that Bitcoin. Hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Later.